This video is going to introduce VoiceOver to you on iOS. So what is VoiceOver? Well, VoiceOver in the Apple Mac world is a screen reader for the vision impaired or blind. And a screen reader, well, what's a screen reader? Well, it reads what's ever on the screen for you. That way, a person who is unable to see it, as mentioned, fully blind or partially sighted, they can hear auditory feedback. So, for example,
VoiceOver on, landscape, home button to the right, messages.
So right there, we just heard messages, and as you see, there is a cursor, a red cursor around the Messages app. And VoiceOver, the screen reader for touchscreen devices on iOS, such as iPhone, iPad, iPod Touch, as well even on the Mac with the multi-touch gesture touchpad, you're able to interact with VoiceOver in two ways. One way is just to simply flick from left to right.
Calendar.
So it moved over to the calendar, or if I want to go the other way,
Messages.
it's back to Messages.
Double tap to open.
The other way is to also, it'll simply read anything under your finger if you drag your finger around.
Reminders. App Store. Game Center. Photo booth. Reminders. Calendar. 9:17 a.m.
Okay. And so a screen reader is very helpful to use to read emails, web pages, even long documents. And as a vision impaired user, I do use VoiceOver quite a bit on my iPod Touch when I'm listening to audiobooks and or listening to Facebook posts or of the sort. And I also use other auditory means of feedback for listening to documents, textbooks, etc., whether that be VoiceOver or built-in speech feature in other apps. So with VoiceOver, what you can do with it is, like if you're navigating through a web browser, there's a thing called Web Router, and that will be in another video. But essentially what it does is it's like a shortcut panel where you can skip directly to headings, links, etc., just to make it a little easier. And of course, this is all through touch interaction. And so with VoiceOver, like I said, it is for the vision impaired and blind. So please do not get confused of how to use this in terms of visual interaction. I know there's a lot of sighted users who, turn this on or get stuck somehow with it turned on, and they have a really difficult time trying to do anything else, period, with the device because it's turned on. VoiceOver is, like I said, it is made for the vision impaired and blind, so you have to use VoiceOver with non-visual interactions like gestures. So that may be foreign concept, period, for those who are fully sighted. What I mean by this is I will show you. So right now, I'm just going to put my VoiceOver cursor on the Messages app.
Messages.
Okay, and I'm going to turn the screen curtain on. And what the screen curtain is that the device remains the same. It doesn't go in lock mode or sleeping or anything. It just blackens the screen, because if you're fully blind, you may not want the screen on to maybe save battery power. Interesting fact is that a lot of battery power, at least 1/3, is devoted just to power the screen brightness. Believe that or not. So if you use VoiceOver all the time, it would be very nice to turn the screen off, yet use it just as functional. So another reason why you may want the screen curtain on and off, like blackened, is for privacy use. That way you can, if you have an iPhone or you're in an area where you have internet and you can, type in passwords or do private, things like banking and that, or any other, confidential information. You can do that no problem if you have earbuds plugged in, of course, right? Because you would be the only one hearing the auditory feedback and your screen would be black. So the visual person sitting next to you on the bus or standing next to you out in public, whatever, won't be able to see or hear anything you are doing on your device, right? So that's another advantage of using VoiceOver than compared to not using VoiceOver. Many advantages there. So anyways, what I want to show you quickly is I'm going to turn the screen curtain on, and then I'm going to flick left to right to move to the calendar app. And then just so you can understand that everything is still here, it's just darkened, okay? So I'm going to take 3 fingers and I'm going to tap 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Screen curtain on.
So right now, as you see, it's black. It looks like this device is locked, but it's really not. So I'm just going to flick left to right.
Calendar.
And now
Tuesday,
I'm on my
May
calendar
20th.
app, which visually should be where my finger is pointing, right here roughly. And I'm going to continue flicking left to right.
Contacts.
I'm going to drag my
Double
finger.
tap App Store. 20 iTunes Store.
So right now I'm right over top of the
Double tap
iTunes
to open.
Store.
Pick dock. Camera.
So right now
Double
I
tap
was
to
just
open.
over top the camera app down here. And as VoiceOver said, if I want to open it, I'll just simply double tap anywhere on the screen. And that's the important part about VoiceOver. This is a non-visual part about VoiceOver, is that it interacts with non-visual gestures. As you see, the screen is blackened right now, so you visually cannot interact with it because you're picking up nothing but dark screen, right? And yet you can still function through the device.
Camera. Safari. Camera. Photos.
You know,
Mail.
so if I want to open my mail, I'll just simply double tap with 1 finger anywhere on the screen, whether the screen is turned on or it's off. As now, you can double tap anywhere on the screen. And this goes the same with keyboarding and that. You know, for keyboarding, there's 2 options. You can either touch type or where you can drag your finger and then you can use your other finger for to enter that key in. Or if you have an iPod or iPhone, I find it's most comfortable to use your thumb to drag, because it's such a small area, to drag your thumb wherever what letters you want to be punched in. And whenever what you want, you just simply release your thumb and it'll enter in for you. So it's really convenient and nice. So yeah, and also a new feature in iOS 7. Let me turn the screen curtain back on for you. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Screen curtain off.
And off, I mean. So another neat feature in iOS 7 they included for VoiceOver is the ability to hand write through the router. So whether you're in the Notes app or an email, wherever there's editable text, you can use your router settings, and if you know how to handwrite. Like for me, I'm vision impaired, so I was originally taught how to handwrite in grade 2 and 3 and that. So I can, easily just handwrite each letter in if I want, instead of spending time, not that it takes a lot of time, right? But just that's another means of input. And also through the VoiceOver settings, you can also, through language and dialects in iOS 7, you can select, let's say you want English voices. There's the default United States English voice. But what you could also do is you can select United Kingdom, Australian, etc., etc. And by default, you will get the compressed voice. And so you can have the option there to download the high quality voice, and it's free. It'll just download for you. It takes quite a few megabytes, like a couple hundred, so just keep that in mind. And you'll have a nice high quality voice. So, this kind of concludes our introduction to VoiceOver and what it can do and what it's all about.